Hey guys, this is Junaid here from K21 Academy and I welcome you all to this session by K21 Academy where we're going to discuss variables in Python. So without any further ado, let me quickly start this session. Guys, before we begin, please do consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on trending technologies. And also guys, if you're looking forward for complete Python training for data science, please check out the link given in the description box below. Alright guys, so let us now start off by understanding what are variables in general. Well, you see, variables refer to a memory location whose reference is basically a variable. In general, if I have to say you, right, so what is a variable? Variable refers to something like, let's say, something that can store a value, right? But that is true when it comes to programming, but it is not true at the same time. So what I'm trying to say here is, the way it works in programming is that, let's say you have your system RAM, right? So this is where your values are stored. So you'll be given a certain place. Let me quickly show you by drawing it over here. Okay, so let's say this is your database, or let's say this is your RAM. Okay, and you want to save a number 1. Okay, now irrespective of what this number takes, right, like as is a number, it can take 1 byte, 2 byte, whatever it is, that this is a constant, and this would be stored in your memory, and the value that point towards it, like let's say if I'm giving it as a, the value that point towards this is called as a variable. Okay, so variable a is pointing towards this value which is at so and so memory location. So this is how variables work in Python or in general any programming language. So what happens over here with variables, right? So variables are usually defined, if I have to give you a general intuition, they're usually on the left hand side of a particular equation. So now how do you work along with variables in Python, right? So like what do you do and what happens with variables? Well, with Python, what happens is, let's say you have a certain value, let's say a is equal to 3, right? And you want to refer that variable to something like, let's say, like 5, like you want a to be 5, and now you want a value to be replaced again with something else. So now what happens is the value of a gets replaced by 5, and a will no longer have the value of 3, and the 3 variable which was there in the RAM would be sent for garbage collection. So these are variables. It's a pretty simple concept, but it is pretty important because you're obviously gonna use variables in every aspect of your coding career. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, let me quickly jump to my code editor and show you how I can work along and how I can define variables in Python. So for this, the code editor I'm gonna use over here is gonna be Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so for that, make sure you have your Anaconda installed, and if you don't know how to do that, you can definitely check out one of our videos on our playlist, and the link for our playlist would be given in the description box below. So let me quickly show you. Okay, so here I've already opened up my code editor. This is my Jupyter Notebook, so I have saved here as demo K21. Now let's say I want a value of a to be referred as 5. Okay, and now if I want to print the value of a, right, so it says 5. What if I want to change the value of a to be 10 now? So now if I print a, you will see it has a value of 10. So a does not hold a defined value. Okay, and now let's say if b is equal to a, now you will see the value of b is also 10. So how does this happen? Like, how is this working here in the memory? So let me quickly get my pen here again. So if this is my RAM, okay, the reason why I'm saying this RAM is because if I close this particular, this command or this terminal, then what happens here is that, I lose all the values. So initially what happened here was when I defined 5 in the RAM, so this is the memory in the RAM, and this was referred by a. Okay, the moment I changed a to 10, so there was another byte or the block of space that was taken on RAM, and now a no more had this link. A no more had this. Instead of this, a was referring to this part here. And then when I made a is like b is equal to a, right? So b also started pointing towards the variable 10. Okay, so in short, if I have to say you, a holds the address or the memory location of 10, But that is something, for like if you're working with low level programming language, it's important for you. But in general, a holds the value or the address location where 10 is stored. And then if I put a is equal to b, the same thing happens over here. Okay, so let me quickly erase this up now. All right. So this A can hold various other data types. If you are interested in knowing more about data types, please stay tuned to this, because we are going to have new content which would be launched totally in detail about data types. But before that, let me give you a quick brief. So A can hold any values, right? So it can hold a number. If I want to have a string, like let's say A, and if I just give here K21 Python 02. Okay, and then if I just hit enter, and if I just print out the value of a, you will see that it holds the value of string. Okay, so if you want to see what type of value a was having, so if I just put type, and then if I give the value of a, you will see it has string. And similarly, if I use type here, earlier somewhere over here, it will give us a is of type integer. Okay, the reason why it's giving string is because now it's string. So if you want to see this, what happens, so let me rerun this block. So now you'll see that a says it's of type int, right, over here. And now if I change the value, so again it says now a has a string type. So what happens to the value 10 and 5 which were there in the RAM? They get eradicated by something called as garbage collection. Like every programming language has a garbage collection up into it, so that it can eradicate the unused variables or unused values which are there. Alright guys, with this we come to the end of a session. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. If you have any further queries, please do mention them in the comment box below. So guys, before I end this session, there's something that I want to give you guys, right? So before you purchase our course, we would like you to give a trial to our free class. So free class is basically a concise or demo version of our paid courses. I know the courses are pretty, it's something like, when you invest money over that, you might not be sure, right, like whether this course belongs to you or not. So this is why we introduce something called as free class over here. So with this free class, what happens is you can register yourself and attend a class for 2 days and see if this course is for you or not. So before I show you how you can register yourself for a free class, let me show you how our learning path of our course would be. So the course over here would be divided into 8 weeks. So in the first week, we would be, dealing with some of the basic concepts like, introduction to Python, objects, and, some basics of it. And then we straight away move down to looping statement. Then we have the OOPS concept that we deal in the next by third week. Once you come down to the fourth week, you'll be dealing with exception handling, how to deal with errors and various other concepts that goes there. Week 5 and 6, you'll be dealing with, generators, and then how to use, NumPy and Pandas, Matplotlib and Plotly. These are some of the libraries that you need when you're trying to start off with data science. Finally, in week 7, you will be introduced to big data. That is, how to use Apache for big data technologies. Finally, in the week 8, we'll be walking you through, how to build your CV, interview preparation, and all of that. I know 7 weeks is like, it's impossible to learn a programming language. But let me tell you something, guys. With our live course, you would be able to see this n number of times. And also, whatever you have achieved in your live class, we have, the recordings of that, so that you can come back and watch it again and again. Apart from this course would be available for you throughout your lifetime, so that it's always there in your hand. So this is a bit about a learning path of a course. So as I've promised earlier that, I'm going to show you how you can register yourself for our Python for data science and data engineer. So let me do one thing. Let me quickly go to my browser. So here, let me open Google Chrome. So for this, what you got to do is you got to type K21Academy.com/Python02. So yep, so if I have this and if I hit enter, you will be presented with a screen something like this, wherein it says free live class, and depending upon when you're booking it, so you'll have various classes. Usually we tend to have 3 sessions, because we know we have people applying for different areas, like we have different time zones. So you can definitely register yourself here. So then make sure you come here. You will see one dialog box. Apart from that, you'll also see some of the the agenda for that class, like Python and its features, Python objects, and various other things. Over here you'll have some demo session, a free grip for those who are attending it, and a Q&A session with the trainer. So here you can just add up K21, like whatever your name is, and then you can add up like K21@gmail.com, and make sure you give your phone number, but although that is optional, but yeah. And once you hit this, you can just hit register. You will be getting an email address which would have a link of your Zoom. But let's say if you don't want that, if we have this, wherein once you hit register, you will get a Zoom link over here, which you can just join up with this at this particular time or whenever you want, and the agenda for this would be present over here. So you can join a Zoom link by this join the webinar. So this is what it is. So we also have a YouTube channel and a Telegram channel which you can join over here, and this would help you out with if you have any queries about questions or something, one of our trainers would get back to you on that. All right guys, we come to the end of this session. Until next time, goodbye and take care.